Your success is directly tied to the number of difficult conversations you're willing to have with the person in front of you and with the person in the mirror. You only have one person that you're going to be with for the rest of your life, and that's yourself. And you may as well become best friends with that individual.
Every single person you meet is a mirror for what you're feeling inside. If you see the love and joy, it's because you're love and joy yourself. On this week's episode of Conversations That Count, I'm joined by Rob, a traveler, a storyteller, and a creator who's explored the world and himself through it. We talk about the power of real human connection, how travel becomes your biggest mirror, and why sometimes you have to lose yourself to meet who you really are. This one will make you reflect on your own life, your environment, your habits, your relationships, and how they're shaping the person you're becoming. If you've ever felt stuck, disconnected, or crave more depth, this episode is your reminder to step outside your four walls and start living again. Let's dive in.
How often do you sit with someone undistracted for an hour where you do your best to try and get to know them? And like you go away with it, it's like, wow, it's a very unique connection that you build, and then it's a gift that you as the host are giving, and the guest gets to have, and it's like a feeling of being more deeply understood, and it's a really unique gift, and I think everyone in some capacity is after that.
Well, if you think about it, we've moved so much online, like our lives are online, which is great because it's good for flexibility and freedom to a certain extent, but then you lose connection. So that was the whole purpose of doing face-to-face ones or going to events and stuff like that, is to meet people rather than just hide behind your screen or whatever like that. Because cool, but I can't feel you, it's just
and then someone could be on Zoom looking at something. Like I used to work in tech. And every time that we'd be on a meeting, if I wasn't talking, I just would zone out like immediately, and it'd be like, okay, I'm just going to look at something else as someone is talking, because I fool myself into thinking I can do both. But like on a Zoom call is that there's just the constant.
It's a distraction.
Yeah, and there's also something sacred almost about coming into a place like this that is designated purely for a conversation, and like your environment is super important. Where like if you're in your living room where you maybe you have something else that's distracting, so to stay connected in that conversation, it's not linear. Like it stops and starts and stops and starts, and so you're not like fully present within it, whereas here it's like you're undistracted. You're present.
That's such a good point. Like I work from home mainly, and since being in Bali, I've realized how important environment is, and changing the environment and not work where you sleep. And so like I'm just like, okay, well, where can I go today? And I remember hearing this stat, I don't even know who it was, but they said that you should only be at your home really to sleep, and that's it. Like you should be out, you should be networking, you should be meeting people, you should be living, and all of those things. And it's like it's such a good reminder that actually step outside your own four walls and go and experience life.
I think it was the big bed industry that said that.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. I heard it somewhere.
I'm fucking with you, like the big pharma. I'm in like the big bed industry.
Maybe, I don't know, but
Yeah, no, but I think you're absolutely right. Is that it's when I don't know how people can do that where they do stay at home all the time. So it's pretty challenging to like leave and like have a day. Yeah. Because you're kind of just like there, then you go and do some other stuff. Like you can be productive or whatever, but it's nice to have a disconnect. How do you find the cafes here? Do you enjoy it?
Love them. Yeah. But it depends, I think, as well, because I definitely need to feel the right energy for me to be productive. Yeah. And I know that's a me thing at the same time, but if I'm not there and there's so much going on, then I'm like, okay, no, this is not working. But sometimes I love the noise and I can be super productive. So it's like really, I guess, me on that particular day and what I need to do, and like, do I need silence? Do I need to be around people? And
have you read a book called Anti-Fragility?
No.
There's a concept in it that's really fascinating that talks about like the human ability to stay focused if there's signal or noise, and so like our ability to do something, like if it's like a completely void environment, then it's almost more difficult to stay focused because you try and like look for distraction. But the author Nassim Taleb is from Lebanon, which funny enough is where I just was, which is a insane place, like absolutely crazy, chaotic, and I say this in the insanity as in both beautiful and like, holy shit, this maybe is a little bit too much. But like when you're there, there's so much that's going on. There's so much constant stimulation, that like you stay focused despite all of those distractions, and they almost like feed your focus and whatnot. And he'll talk about how often writers will go to busy cafes so that the clamoring of the dishes, the soft noise or white noise of other voices, chatting and whatnot, become like this background thing that allows you to just be creative with these like tiny things of stimulation and whatnot. So it's interesting how sometimes that plays a role, but I think you should read it.
Yeah, I will. Because I was even thinking, like, is it a bit of a trauma response in a way at the same time? Like, depending on your upbringing or how you feel in sitting in silence, is that then an avoidant tactic at the same time, where you need the noise around you because then you feel safe, rather than sitting in the silence and you're like, oh my God, what can I do? Like, what's going on here? I can't handle this. But yeah, so I feel like it's, I don't know the right or wrong answer there, but it could be both.
Yeah. Nice. What got you into doing this podcast?
I've been on like a personal development journey or a healing journey for probably about 5 or 6 years. And I then moved into the coaching space and in breathwork facilitation and things like that. It's because it's exactly what I needed at the time. And when I was going through a hard time, I didn't know where to look, or I didn't know who to ask for help or how to get that support. And then every time I have a conversation with people around consciousness or travel or thinking outside the box, I'm like, why didn't I know this earlier? Or why isn't everyone across this information as well? Because it can help people, live a better life based on their terms as well. And I was like, everyone should have access to the information, whether it's around, whatever it is that they're looking to improve. And so, I was like, I just want to meet people and show that no matter where you are in life, that everything is a choice. And yes, you might have gone through challenges in life, but then it's what you do with that actually counts. And a lot of the people that I've interviewed in the past have had, gone through those moments, and they're like, right, I've got a choice here. I can either go into victim mindset and I can kind of play into that role, or I can use this as a wake-up call, and then I can choose a different path. And then they'll choose a different path then to create impact and change in the world. And that's what I love, because I'm like, everyone, we're all just people at the end of the day, and people connect with people. And I feel like everyone should just be a part of like really wholesome conversations, rather than like, hey, how are you? Or what's the weather like? Or pretend that you're fine when you're not. So it's like people resonating with your story or connecting with parts of it. They go, oh, me too.
What do you think is the difference between the personality type, between the person who is able to make that choice of, I'm going to turn this into something that now oppresses me, or I'm going to turn this into something that is now the fuel for my success, maybe in spite of the challenging thing that happened?
It's a really great question, and something that came up in a conversation that I had the other day as well. It's like, if you have a good life, then you're probably just on autopilot, right? So sometimes you need to have those big moments of breakdown or hit rock bottom for you to go, okay, I really need to get myself out of this. What do I need to do to change? And it comes down to environment. It comes down to the individual and how willing that they are to change as well. And I don't know if that's necessarily a personality trait. I feel like it's have they been shown a different way? And do they have access to that as well? What are their friends like? What's the conversations are they entertaining? What are they consuming on like the internet or YouTube or whatever it is that they're consuming? Are they out partying all the time because that's what is the norm? And so I feel like it really comes down to, yes, you need to have that drive internally, and it's who you're around. I think that it's got to be the biggest thing that will actually pull you out initially. And then it comes down to your own personal drive.
Yeah. Linear does not allow for exponential. And I think that if people, rock bottom fucking sucks. It's really not fun.
Yeah.
But and it's the same thing when people talk about growth. Like people always want to say like, oh, I want to be in this growth mindset. I want to be in this growth, whatever. And like realistically, like the intuition of the mind and the person doesn't want to actually be in that because of how painful it is. Like it's not enjoyable. But at the same time, is that's where all of the real growth, surprise, ends up happening, is when you do have those like phoenix rising moments.
Well, we're wired for safety.
Yeah, we're wired for safety.
Our bodies are wired for safety. Our minds are wired for safety. So if something feels a little bit outside the norm, then our body and our mind will do everything it can to protect us. So you have to go, okay, well, what's that internal dialogue? Is what story am I keep on telling myself? Is it true? Is it not? And that's where self-awareness comes into play. That's when curiosity comes into play. That's when the growth mindset comes into play. It's like, okay, are you aware of all of that? Otherwise, you'll just keep on coasting through life and just hope for the best. Yeah. And then you'll just end up in the place that you're meant to.
Yeah. It's really nice. Yeah, it's all kind of tumble forward. It's really nice. It's cool.
What was you just mentioned about your breakdown moment in a way. So what's been the biggest pivotal change for you and leading the life that you're now creating?
I think so I started this in June 2024, and I started this after I left the previous job that I was working in, and in many ways I burnt out from that job. I was working too much. I didn't have relationships around me that were really beneficial to me or the other people for that matter, and that's like both my responsibility and other people's responsibility, right? Like it's that thing. But I ended up leaving this tech job kind of exhausted, pretty burnt out, and pretty like, what the fuck am I doing with my life type of thing. And before this, when I was working in that tech job, I always felt like something in the back of my head as if I was wasting my time. Maybe not like specifically wasting my time as like that phrase, but it felt like there was something I was missing in life. I was working for someone else's dream. And then after that, I came to Bali, funny enough, for a 2-week period, and I used to think this place was absolutely ridiculous. Like all the things you see on social media, they do exist here, but I came here for that 2-week period, and I was like, this place isn't for me. I don't want to come here. And then during that time, I started to think about, what is the impact that I want to have on this world? I started to ask myself those types of questions. And then all of my friends are in YouTube as well, and so they've always been pushing me to get back into creative fields. And I used to be a photographer back in like 2014, and I had deviated and left that because I wanted to go out and make money. And then I went down that route, and then fast forward to June 2024. And then in that period of time where I was searching for what it is that I wanted to do next, I actually did a run club, or joined a run club, which I fucking, part of my language, but I thought was pretty gay. Like prior, I was like, yeah, I'm never fucking doing that. Yeah. But then ended up joining a run club and really, really enjoyed it. And it was like a small group of people that were a part of it. And I remember it was me and the guy who would organize it, Louis Armstrong, and we're both in our 30s at the time, still are in our 30s now. But we were all sitting at a cafe afterwards, and there was a bunch of younger guys, like 20 to 25, and we started talking about, mainly just Louis and I, how it is that we had navigated difficult things in our life, and how it is that our relationship with trauma, and then our relationship with accepting difficult things that have come, and then turning them, as you said, into good things rather than things to be a victim of. And when we were talking, Louis and I would look around, and I saw like a glimmer in all these young dudes' eyes that was a craving. It felt like it was a craving for more and more messages like this. You have people that really are great spearheads of this kind of discussions for young men, I think, and like Chris Williamson, Andrew Huberman, and a couple other ones. And I think for these people just to feel and like tangibly see guys like this talking about, hey, this is how you can use these difficult things and use them for your benefit, and also still be a good man. Yeah. I think in my own definition and own thoughts, and they really appreciated that. And so from then started doing content, and then saw it as like, yeah, wow, this is now something I'll continue to invest in and do my best to practice what I preach, and preach these things of, the most important things in life are the things that I ultimately were lacking in the previous job, which was a strong group of friends around me, physically around me. Health is the number one priority for frickin' everything, like your mental health and your what you eat and how you exercise, and leading a purpose-driven life of doing things that you love and that you that bring some form of a positive impact in the world. So yeah, that was like the inflection point, if you will, at the time. Yeah.
How great that was in your awareness at the time as well, right? Do you find that being, like you mentioned that you've been traveling for a little while as well, the people that you meet, that they're all kind of searching for something similar, where they don't want the 9 to 5, or they don't want the traditional way of life or by society standards? Do you find that people that travel generally are like, okay, I don't want that, like I want to create a life full of freedom and joy and connection and things like that at the same time?
Yeah, I'd say anyone who has the curiosity to leave their country, I think, will have the level of questioning that's like, I don't know what's going on, or if all of these same components that or all of these same little lives that everyone is living is exactly what it is that I want. And so there's some form of curiosity that like gets the person to go out and see the world, that then begs the question eventually of, oh, like, do I actually want to return and lead this corporate life, or go down the standard path of going to university, getting a master's degree, something like that. And I'd say travel is probably what do they call it, like a gateway drug? It's definitely a gateway drug for of breaking every single barrier of an ignorance that you don't really know that you have. And you see it a lot with where I'm from in the US. I'm sure it's the same with Australia. And yeah, travel really is the thing that changes you the most from living how you might have seen your parents live, or kind of living through expectations that were put upon you that you reject. And so yeah, I'd say yes, as travel is probably the thing that most every single person that travels shares that in common, is they're searching for something different than the quote unquote norm. Yeah.
Travel has always been my biggest expander, although like I've focused on mindset and nervous system and things like that in the past as well, and it's what I do. But even landing in Bali, I've been here for 6 weeks, and as soon as I went overseas or came here, I was like, oh my God, that's right. It's such a breath of fresh air in a way that you just kind of see yourself on a totally different level, and you connect with people totally different as well. You have different experiences that if you were in your home and you were just kind of living your normal day-to-day life as well. It's just, I don't know, it shows you parts of yourself that you didn't realize you had, or what you're fully capable of at the same time.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest teachers for travel, is, I wrote about this earlier today, but you don't really realize the relationship you have to something until you leave it. And so the abstinence, or the space that you take from something, and when I wrote about this was in relation to my phone. And so or fasting. I've been doing fasting a lot recently, and the relationship that I've realized I had with food was not what I imagined it to be, and I never would have figured out that unless I stopped eating for a long period of time. And then with travel, how I'll relate it to this is, travel brought about a lot of forgiveness and love for my family and where I came from beforehand. And I think one of the most difficult things that I've come to accept as a person is that my parents are children in their own right, and they're still living out these mistakes that they may have had, and that rather than wanting them to change, is to accept and love them for these parts that may not be the best, but love them all the same as my favorite parts of them as well. And it was only through me being away from them that the love for them really, really, really grew.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I was younger, I used to and it was when I was 18, like I would never talk to my mom and say like, oh, it's so nice to chat with you. And I would kind of answer the phone always grumpy. And then when I was away, I was like, shit, I never tell my mom, like, it's just nice to, this is when I was like 18 or 19. So obviously now I'm not like this, but
it's changed.
Yeah, it's changed. Yeah. Just like the removal that you have from something gives you the opportunity to love and appreciate it even more. And travel specifically is something that made me love where I come from. I love the United States. I love Texas. I love my parents, and I love the people who I grew up with, even if I'm not connected with them even more. But that space is what allowed me the opportunity to love them.
Such a beautiful way that you've articulated that. At the same time, it's the space that makes you appreciate the things in the long term and what's important and what's not at the same time, right? And I feel like when it comes to families especially, it's like you don't have a choice in a way how you're brought up to a certain age, but you definitely have a choice as an adult in how you react and how you respond to your family at the same time, and whether you choose to forgive them for your upbringing or whatever happened or something along those lines, because otherwise that's going to have an impact on how you show up in the world and how you live and how you love and all of those things if you don't make peace with that. So I feel like that's a really beautiful reflection that now you come from a place of love and compassion for them rather than just resentment or whatever it might have been.
Yeah, it's way better. Like life is so much better when you live in joy.
Yeah, it is. And you're like, cool. Like, I choose my life this way. You can choose your life. I can still love you for your choices and I can still be there. And at the same time, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. And it's just way more fun. And to hold on to things that have negatively affected you in the past does no one it only does a disservice. It does a disservice to you, it does a disservice to that person, but more importantly, like it just harms you in the sense that you carry this weight that is unnecessary. Before I was living here, I was living in Portugal, and I appreciate Portugal for what it is, but the Portuguese people have a weight, like a collective weight that they all carry.
Really?
And you can see it on their faces. I'm sure people will disagree with me, and the Portuguese people will get mad and complain, which they tend to always do, but they tend to wear all of their past things on their face, and like you can experience it and feel it as you're going through. Did I say Lebanese or Lisbon? Portuguese?
You said Portuguese.
Yeah, Portuguese, that's who it is. And they wear it on their face as they kind of go about their lives, and so I lived there for 4 years, and like I'm a very happy, positive, love expressing, love connecting with people, and I love saying hello. I think it's one of the greatest gifts that you can give to someone is just giving them a little drop of joy in the form of just bon dia, good morning, how are you, is so easy to do, and you get so much out of it, and you also are able to give an equal amount. But anyways, so that's how I operated typically. And then when I was living in Portugal, I remember all these people I'd say good morning to, and they just look at me with like as if I had just insulted their children by saying good morning to them. And so, is that you like you said, it's a choice. You really have a choice in how you feel and how you show up in the world. And despite the circumstances that have happened to you, you can also use that as a reason for being happy, like you can or joyful or coming with gratitude or love, and life is just way better when you operate from a state of joy. And it's up to yourself, like you said, personal accountability before, right? It's up to you. Like nobody else is responsible for your own happiness. It's not like your partner, your family, or your friends or anything like that. It's actually an internal thing that you need to be able to to fulfill, because no one else can be able to do that for you. And then your choice determines what your experience is in the outside world. Like I always like to say, life is a reflection of you. So if you're negative and you're upset, then you will find that, you will seek it, and people will return that to you.
It's a mirror.
I told you, everyone's grumpy and mad, and it's like, well, just go out and smile for the day, or go out and try and spread joy, and then see how the world interacts with you then.
Every single person you meet is a mirror for what you're feeling inside. And so if you see the love and joy, it's because you're love and joy yourself. If you are judging someone, it's because you don't accept parts of yourself and all of that. So that's where it's so important to actually recognize how you feel at the same time and how you're showing up, because that's how you experience stuff.
Completely. There was just before you jump into the next question, there's a study that I think, if I remember the clip, I'll send it to you, but it talked about how, I think it was they did a study on popularity and what that meant, and on like someone who was likable, and it was the person who was the most likable was the person who outwardly spoke positively about other people. And it's like the more that you give statistically, or like there was some tests that just prove exactly what you just said correct, and that the more that you like say, the more goodness that you say towards other people, the more gratitude that you give ends up collectively coming back to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's really nice. Yeah, if I remember it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah,
it's cool.
I know, but you like right on there, where if you go, okay, I want to experience more love, it's like, well, how much love are you giving out? Yeah. Because how are you expecting it to come in return if you're got your walls up and you're not in receivership, or you've got this control or protection layer or whatever it is, because like it's going to be blocked. So yeah, it's like whatever it is that you want from the world, you need to give it to them.
Yeah, be brave.
Yeah,
give it.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned about Portugal before. Do you think that is a cultural thing or a generational thing at the same time? Because I also find, and I don't know if it's like specifically to Portugal, because I haven't actually been there myself, but I feel like it also, like parts of Australia are like that. You say hello and people are just so in their zone of, I need to do, and they don't really kind of stop and look at their surroundings and go, oh, hi, or whatever it is, where on the Gold Coast, for example, everyone's so much more open. So you can say hello when you're walking past someone, like on the beach or whatever, and they say hi. So I feel like, I don't know, is it specific to countries, or are some countries more ingrained culturally as well?
Yeah. I'd say that like a lot of it is probably circumstantially as well, because kind of what we're saying is, it goes back to the choice on if you find yourself in these difficult circumstances. Like it's very easy to go towards a negative mindset, and so I think if someone is in challenging circumstances, then that can also have a huge effect on how they choose to literally everything we just said. And so I say it's culturally and also circumstantially, but then to the cultural component of a country is 100%. Like Portugal, I'd say by and large has a bit more negative of a mentality and a sentiment that is collectively held. And my cousin and I would often joke as we were building the startup, is that whenever we try and do something with someone or pass something that in the US, which is very, very open and very optimistic in terms of building and often destroying things in the past to build things in the new, whenever we try and create something with the company, then it would be met with, oh, not possible, no matter what. Like, and it was from the company building to then like getting a booking on Airbnb. It's like any form that was deviating from the norm is they would say, no, it's not possible. And then I think there was a collective like weight that was held, and they had just recently come out of a dictatorship, I think 30 or 40 years ago. Yeah. But with something like Australia, perhaps what you're referring to is somewhere like Sydney or Melbourne. I'd say that New York is pretty similar as well, or LA, and that you don't really have as much of a joy when you see other people. It's the same, like in New York, there's just too many people, and so the interaction with a random stranger becomes more of a nuisance than it becomes a novelty. I'm from Texas, in San Antonio, where there's jokes that as Texans drive past each other on the highway, you wave at each other.
I love that though.
There's literally a commercial that leaned into that, and just two drivers going across a highway and then waving at each other as they go. But I think it could have something to do with warmth of a country as well. Like literally places in the South, like there have been studies that have done this, because it's not just Portugal either. It's like the UK is notorious for not being incredibly friendly. I don't think Finland or Norway are like the same. Like there's pictures of them at bus stops where they stand, feet apart from each other. Whereas if you go to Brazil or if you go to South America or Colombia, like everything is about like much more of intimacy. There's touch, there's dancing, like it's wonderful. I mean, it's a very, very cool culture, and everything is is like up, like everything is going in a positive direction, and they have their own downfalls and everything, but in terms of a general overall experience, is that they exist in a much greater state of joy than these places that are cold and allow this the past weight to have so much control over their current experience.
Yeah, it's such an interesting topic, right? It's like, how do people then have access to be able to create a different life, or know that there's other choices, or break free from that, or heal from that at the same time? Yeah, but I mean, like, some people, it's not in their awareness, or it's not a value of theirs. And so like, I know for both of us, travel is, I would say, it's a really high value. But for people that don't have that, then how do they know what's possible if they're still living in the same environment?
It's tough because it's an unknown ultimately. Yeah. Like there's you have no idea that you have no idea about it, and so I mean, if you've gone back and tried to communicate with your friends from where you're from, if they've never traveled, and you try and relate to them what it's like to be existing here in Bali on a scooter where you can go from place to place, and the insanity that is seen on social media is also an allure of it. It keeps you alive and it makes you enjoy everything around you. But to relate that experience in a way that they feel it, which is different from reading or seeing it, and I mean that's way different than experiencing it. Like it's hard to relate. So I don't know, just new experiences, I'd say. And travel, I'd say travel doesn't even need to be outside of your country. No. You could go down to a new town and just see how a bunch of different folks are living, and then you see them like, holy shit, that is a different way to approach life and whatnot, and then that's what then causes you to question something, or if you learn another language, I think is really valuable.
It's like you touched on a really good point. It's like literally just experience something that's outside your norm, and it could be going on a day trip, like absolutely, and it's just a new experience of you going, looking things from a different perspective, talking to people that you wouldn't normally talk to, doing things that you wouldn't normally do, like on your Monday to Friday or whatever it is. Like that's giving you like a different experience altogether at the same time, and we just choose to do it on a much larger scale.
It's nice.
I definitely realized, like, traveling, and especially this time around to Bali, and I mean we're only 6 hours away, but how small the world is and how connected it is, and it's even more so now. And last time I was overseas was probably just before COVID, and how much has changed in between that time. At the same time, it's like just so much more connected. Like you could be anywhere in the world, and we were even saying before about Bali and how it's like it actually feels like home because of how connected it is, and technology, and you've got the convenience of so much where previously it hasn't always been like that as well.
I don't know if I like that, to be honest. The deep connectedness, meaning I love it because it allows for different, I guess, things to happen, but it's so easily a source for negativity and being upset is like the constant news cycle of 24/7 being plugged in, and then whenever there's an alert coming up about somewhere else, like the constant connectedness is also a source for pain if it's not, I guess, mitigated, or if it's not, if you're not aware of it, if you're not able to put your phone down or stop looking at Instagram Reels for like 4 hours a day, which is like pretty fucking common. Like there's so many people, myself included, will find myself deep into Instagram Reels as if I'm trying to find the bottom of it. Like going and going and going, and then you kind of you stop and you're like, what the hell am I doing? The point, like, why am I in this hole? And then what keeps our curiosity is the violent, the negative, the scary, the news cycle. And then the same thing with how people are wanting to be mindful of their diet, of what they consume from like a food basis. Like it begs the question of, shouldn't we be mindful of the diet that we're consuming through our eyes and like in our mind? And so I do appreciate how connected this is, the fact that we're able to have a conversation that can impact someone on the other side of the world, and the the connections and the relationships that can be built from that. And then also the freedom that this life allows is really nice. But at the same time, I always feel myself getting back to the preaching of like, hey, turn off your fucking phone, go outside, like run around in the dirt and play with your friends. Like go ride your bikes around with your friends. And that'll be so much more fun and like so much more healing than any hours spent on YouTube or whatever. And just like the point of life is to unplug and connect.
How do you, I've got two questions based on that. Like, how do you disconnect totally and create that silence for yourself? And then also, when it comes, actually, I'll ask you the second part.
Yeah, so I always do the same. Whenever I ask people questions, like, I've got 3 questions for you.
I know. You're like, oh my God, where do I start?
Yeah, it's a good one. It's and I'm curious what your answer is too. And I'd say that it is way more difficult to stay disconnected than it is to jump on your phone for the first thing in the morning. And I always slip up, so that's a caveat I'd say to something like this. But what I aim to do is not touch my phone until maybe midday or something along those lines, or earlier, or step into writing. I'm really into writing, and so I'd say that the first thing that you can do is just give yourself a moment to express yourself. It doesn't even need to be journaling from the sake of, today, dear diary, I feel bad today. Like it could be just you expressing, like writing about something, an observation. And then always what I've found whenever I write, I always, word vomit on the page, whatever it is, and then always brings me back to a state of gratitude. And then that is what I get to take into the rest of the day with me. So if I just allow myself a period in the morning, even if it's 15, 20 minutes, it allows me to step into a state of joy and bring that and exist for the rest of the day. And then I get into my phone and kind of use it use my phone as something to look forward to. There's a really good book called I can't remember what it's called. But there's a really good book that talks about dopamine. The Molecule of More is what it's called. Outstanding book. And it just, now it's become more understood, but dopamine is something that is triggered when we're in pursuit of something, not when we obtain it. And so if you understand the mechanism of the brain like that, then you can set these delayed gratification things for you to get through the hard things that you want to accomplish to achieve a life that you want to achieve. And then get the carrot at the end, which could be your phone for 15 minutes. But you getting your phone early in the morning kills that dopamine, kills your drive to be working hard. And then you suffer, and then you chase after that dopamine more and more and more. And what that looks like is being absorbed into your phone for an even longer period of time, and it's not fun.
It's definitely a distraction, the phone. Like it's one that I've been looking at myself, and like, okay, what's the feeling I have right before I grab my phone? Like, what's the distraction? Like, what am I avoiding that then I need that at the same time? Because when you go on it, I don't necessarily watch the news, but then I'm like, a lot of the people that I follow are coaches and people that are creating a life and building a business and stuff like that. And then I'm like, oh my God, they're doing the thing that I want to do. Like, stop, like actually do what you say you want to do and follow through, and with your commitment and your discipline. So it's like such an interesting one. It's like, okay, what's the feeling before you grab the thing? It's like, what's the avoidant? So
what comes up? How do you be aware of it?
Yeah, exactly right. Because it's like anything, right? If it's like you're not going to the gym, okay, what's the feeling before you go, okay, I'm not going to go, or like eat or something like that, okay, I'm going to have whatever it is. What's the feeling right before you do the action? Because it's not necessarily the action, it's the feeling that you're trying to avoid.
And if you can sit with it and like embrace it.
And that comes back to the awareness at the same time and going, okay, what's my pattern there? How do I interrupt that? How do I change that? Is it a belief thing, or what's the action? So it's cool that you mentioned that, because the past like 2 weeks I've been like my sleep has been one of the things that I'm trying to get better consistently. I always end up waking up at 3 a.m. for some reason, or 4 a.m, and then I don't go back to bed until 6, and then I fall asleep and then wake up again at 8. So I end up getting a decent amount of sleep, but it's always disrupted in the middle of the night. And for the longest period of time, as in the last like 6 months, I would always deny myself the feeling of what I was feeling, thinking that would erase it. So I'd wake up and it'd be 3 a.m. and be like, oh, like I'm good. I can go to bed. I can go to bed.
but the denial of me just saying I'm stressed or labeling that feeling in that moment prolonged it to the point where I'd be up for hours rather than what I've just started doing the last 2 weeks. I don't know what caused me to remember the fucking obvious of just saying like, hey, it's okay to be experiencing this, but admit truthfully that which you are experiencing, and then as soon as you do that, it allows the feeling to be fully expressed and then be alleviated. Yeah. And so now my sleep has gotten better.
That's good. And like you mentioned there that you're a writer at the same time, it's like when you wake up, like what's actually on your mind, and if you get it out of your head onto paper, does that then help? There's so many different like tools that you can do for that as well.
It's so good. Yeah. Writing is the greatest gift that anyone can give to themselves. And outside of just being a place for expression, if you can write in a way, let's say if you write a piece or if you write an email or whatever, if you can just express yourself in a way that is really easily understood, it will bring about so much success in your life, because you can just you can negotiate, you can pitch something, you can just express yourself in many ways that make connecting with other people much easier. And so writing is tremendous.
And you're sharing from the heart, right?
Yeah.
Rather than like, as you said, today I did this or whatever it might be. And a lot of people, when they think of writing, they think of, okay, I'm grateful for, which is, yes, it's a part of it, but it's like just an expression of you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm definitely learning to love writing more. I'm not a natural writer. I'd much prefer to speak to somebody and build connection that way rather than actually write things. And at the same time, I feel like it's a self-judgment piece of me not being able to, I can't do that. Like, or that's, I said it just now. It's like, exactly says right. Who? It's still a form of expression. It's just that it's not your preferred way to express. So I'm definitely falling more in love with that style at the same time.
It's also pretty cool if you write and you give that writing to someone, like getting a letter from someone. When was the last time you received a letter from someone? Like a long handwritten letter?
I cannot remember.
Exactly. Now
that is crazy.
Imagine what it would be like if you received one from someone that you cared about.
Yeah.
And they told you about fuck all. They just said, today I went to the grocery store. And you'd be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, what'd you do at the grocery store? They write you a little story that's so personal and intimate and full of love, and the story is capped off with nothing else, just wanted to check in and tell you that I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
Take care. And now imagine giving that gift to someone else.
Yeah.
It's pretty tremendous.
It's so beautiful, and I think you treasure things like that so much more.
Yeah.
Like
do you keep text from a person? Do you print out the text?
I don't print them out. No, same with photos, right? Yeah. Like I used to print them out and have the albums and stuff like that. Now that I'm like, I need to create space, delete, or it's totally different. You were talking before about connecting with your parents. Like I remember when I first went overseas, and I moved overseas when I was, I think, 21. And actually I was in America, and
God bless.
I would write them letters and just like, nothing special or anything like that, because you could like email, or you can buy a calling card or something like that to actually call them, but because of the time difference didn't work out, or you had to buy credit for the internet, and so I'd write them. And I've still got some of those letters as well. Like it's great, and I will cherish those.
Yeah, exactly. You'll keep it. You'll keep that, and then it's so cool because it's just a little time capsule of what was going on in your life, and you remember explicitly when it is that you wrote that letter to, and you think about you can feel the place that you were at if it's a little postcard. The moment. It's really, really nice versus. There's a lot of convenience that exists, which is in the form of texting or in the form of social media and linking up like that. But some things, when there is a little bit more effort that's put in to achieve that thing, communication being one of them, or expression, I guess, being akin to that, is the reward is much higher because like if you, it's the same thing I think. Excuse me, same thing I think with social media, and like when you. It's so much more fun to catch up with someone who doesn't have social media or doesn't post than someone who does, because you kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Versus, like, I have this friend, her name is Leela, and she deleted her social media like 2 years ago, and she's been working on a boat in the Antarctic or the Pacific.
Oh my God, wow.
Yeah. So whenever we catch up, she just has insane amounts of stories, and then you can really connect and listen to that person. And it's like social media, the connection through it, I think in many ways is horseshit, like, in all honesty, because it just like divides us, and it makes us focus on the things that we're angry about. I do see it as a very great vessel for building a life of freedom, which is essentially the work that we're involved in. But at the same time, like, I'll come out and say it, is that the direction for me with my content is to produce as much high impact stuff that I can do, and then when I'm able to make a good amount of when I'm able to save up and accumulate wealth, I'm deleting everything. Like, I don't, like, the long game is not to be on social media. The long game is to create a career outside of it, and then get the fuck off of it, because it's not, I don't see this as the path that I want to go. And the kind of the other thing that I'll layer into this is I really, really miss speaking to people that are like our parents and our grandparents, that if you talk to them, their ability to communicate is way, way different and better than ours. Maybe on average, there's some people who are incredible communicators in every single generation, but just the ability of people in our parents' generation and then older than that, if they're still alive, is really, really unique, and it's pure. And I think it's because the majority of communication for them happens face to face, versus the majority of the communication that happens between us. Probably like generation below us is more about is more done over text message and Snapchat and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you definitely lose the art of storytelling, and storytelling is like such an important part of communication and connection, isn't it? Yeah, and it's definitely an art in itself. It's a skill that you need to develop at the same time. With you meeting so many people within your travels, and I think I've seen on your social media as well, like, you've done some really incredible interviews with people in communities and things like that as well. What do you think is the art of connection, or how do you connect with someone straight away? Because, like, that's a whole part of travel as well, right? Because you don't know, like, your friends might not be there or your family might not be there. What do you think is like a...
I'm so glad you asked that. Yeah, really. I think, and I literally was just writing about this right before, but the way that you look at someone, and the way that how you speak to someone through the tone of your voice crosses every single language, culture, and any barrier that exists. Like, the way that you look at someone can be like a place of love and joy, always. And when you do that, like, that expresses the intention, and people will want to connect with you purely based off of the energy that you bring into any conversation. And before I did these interviews, before I started doing, the content that I did, where I'd go to Papua New Guinea and sit with tribal leaders, or I would interview graffiti artists in Istanbul, or the most intimidating conversation that I'd had was with my dad, and but it was also the easiest. But it was I asked him questions that were emotionally hard hitting. But before all of this, I worked at that tech company where I did sales, and it was essentially like door-to-door sales, but it was, when we were building this startup, it was a luggage storage company where we had local businesses on our platform working with us to store people's bags for a period of hours in between check-in and check-out of Airbnb or whatever. At the time, when we were just starting this, we would travel all over the world to go and get people to join. My cousin and I, he was the founder, and then I came in to help with the sales part. And there were so many countries that I went to where we didn't speak the same language. I had Google Translate, but by the way I looked at people, by the way that I spoke to them, by the way that I was there from a present standpoint, they were incredibly receptive to me. And then I could type anything into this message, and I would look at them, with pure focus, joy, and then speak to them out of compassion and joy, and they received it. And I ended up getting dozens of hundreds of businesses to work with the company that where we didn't even speak the same language. And so when the state of joy that I speak about, that you can get to through writing, and then how that brings you to the rest of your life, it puts you on an upward trajectory in every single component of your day. So if you connect with the server, you smile at them and you look at them with a look of joy.
Yeah.
And maybe this works for everyone but the Portuguese people.
Yeah.
But I'm kidding with that. But the way that you can connect with someone is always in the tone of your voice and how you look at them. And if you are speaking with a tonality that is aggressive, it's the same thing. You receive aggression. If you look at someone with the look of love, you get love. And that will allow you to connect with anyone on the planet.
Yeah, it's not what you say.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that. I remember traveling into China, and I don't know about you, but it's such a hard language to learn, and I tried to pick it up, even Google Translate, it was hard, but it's funny how without even saying a word at all, you could still communicate with someone.
100%.
And it's just so beautiful in itself, because if you turn off that particular sense as well and you heighten everything else, the felt experience, you can still get by and have a great experience with that person and connect with them without saying anything at all.
You could hang out with them the whole day.
Yeah.
You could have the best day ever, and you would understand your brain wavelength or whatever would get on the same, or your brain would get on the same wavelength, and it's really, really special. That's cool that you had that experience in China. But it's totally true. Everyone, I think, wants to enjoy life, and if you operate with that truth, then you can go there with them. And if you just I think if you're playful, the more playful you are with other people, the more receptive and playful they'll be back with you. Everyone just wants to have a good time.
And you can tell by someone's facial expressions, right? Their facial expressions are universal. It doesn't matter where you are, what culture. You can tell if someone's in a bad mood, or they're lost, or they're happy, or something like that. It's all felt. So you can totally communicate on that level, which is really beautiful.
It is. And again, we keep going back to the same point, but you have the capacity to change the interaction. Even if someone's coming at you aggressively, you can diffuse it. You can stop it.
The best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Your success is directly tied to the number of difficult conversations you're willing to have. That's both with the person in front of you and with the person in the mirror. And if you can sit with yourself and be honest and be okay with things that may have happened, say you made a mistake in the past, then you can grow from it, and then you can use that for your growth. And the same thing with another person is that if you have something that you want to share with someone and you have the courage to go and sit with them, both of you end up winning. And a second piece of advice that goes with that is really contextual is that all problems are people problems. Everything that you have in life usually tends to come back to, I have a conflict with X person, or my sister and I don't get along super well. It's not true, but it's a thing that if that's not approached, and if you don't sit with it, then it'll just continue to exist. But as soon as you have a conversation about that, then you grow from it.
How do you continuously push through the discomfort to have those conversations and to strengthen that relationship and the vulnerability as well? Because hard conversations can be hard and people tend to avoid. So how do you make sure that you're continuously leaning in?
I think there's another quote that I really like that is, leap and the net will appear, which I think is really beautiful because it shares that you find your edge where it's the darkest on the other side, and that it's only once you jump that light appears, and then you realize, there was never any cliff to begin with. The light just wasn't turned on. And when it comes to a hard conversation, I think it's very, for men, I think it's very similar to approaching a beautiful girl, where the more you delay the thing, the more it exists in your imagination as a scarier and scarier monster. And so if you're able to identify and then approach it, then with like a short period of time in between the identification and the approach, then you will succeed. But the more time that you spend thinking about something, the more painful it will be in its delay and then the eventual conversation. And so identify, sit for a period of time and then think about what are the most difficult things that I have to say either to myself or to someone. And I think for me it always comes back down to writing. Is like when you sit with something and say that I'm really afraid to talk to my partner about their actions in X, and then you can ask yourself a follow-up question to that. Why is it that I'm afraid of that happening? And then you say, because I'm afraid of hurting them. Why am I afraid of hurting them? Because I don't like seeing them get hurt. Why don't I like seeing them get hurt? And you keep going down this line of questioning that you start to understand it a little bit more. And from that, you bring a better familiarity with the thing, and then it allows you to approach it anymore. And then also I think, and these are like 15 cliff notes I'm adding to it. I'm just going to keep going. Another one is like, people think that pain and harm is bad, which is not true. Like pain and harm in many ways can lead to greatness. And it's the same. I always like to relate to the story of the like an overprotective mother and the son, where in order for the child to know that they can't burn their hand on the stove, they have to touch the hot stove. You can't just be told about it. And that lesson is so much more important and so much more tangible for the rest of their life than if they're just overprotected, and that ends up causing even more harm, because then the person just lives in fear. And so know that by not allowing the other person to sit with some forms of discomfort, I wouldn't even necessarily call it pain or harm, and then same with yourself, then you are robbing them from actual growth. And that's a greater cost than to not approach that conversation. You're
100% right there. So often we think that we're protecting them, we're protecting ourselves, and we're trying to control their outcome, but we don't know how they're going to react or how they're going to respond in that moment as well. So always lean into those conversations, because you never know what's going to happen. And if they don't respond in the way that you're hoping that they would respond, I feel like that then opens up a different conversation at the same time.
And everything is a path to your freedom. But by not engaging in a difficult conversation, you shrink, and you end up existing with resentment, which is probably one of the worst. Is that an emotion? Yeah, it's probably one of the worst emotions, I think, to sit with, because from resentment, it feels like more negative acts come about. Has greater impact. Has a heavier weight. Exactly. To carry around. It's like it's unnecessary. Like what you should do is just approach the conversation. I feel like we've touched on so many like really beautiful parts today as well. What's one key message that you'd love listeners to take away from this conversation? Don't go to Portugal. No, I'm just kidding. Loud and clear, noted. No. I probably unnecessarily have so much shade, or throw so much shade to Portugal. It's a wonderful place. Go and visit it.
Just don't live there for 4 years.
Don't live there for 4 years. But no, it's great. It's to each their own. But I'd say, like, you only have one person that you're going to be with for the rest of your life, and that's yourself. And you may as well become best friends with that individual. And you do that by traveling. You do that by writing. You do that by having hard conversations. And the more that you lean into understanding yourself, the more that you understand the other. And there's deep beauty in that. And when you check those boxes, you get to exist in a state of beauty and love and joy and compassion. And life just becomes by far better. Your baseline increases. How you interact with people increases to a state of all the positive emotions that you express. And so do your best to get to a state of love and joy every single morning, and see how that will positively impact your life.
Love it.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thanks.
much for the conversation.
Thanks for having me.
I've loved it, and yeah.
It's crazy how fast these things go as
Yeah.
well, like it's really nice. But yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate you doing this, and I'd say that the gift of that you're giving to people of sitting with them and allowing them to express is really amazing. So
Yeah.
thanks. You got to get on this side at some point. So
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it.